Growing up without our parents was a rough experience, but the worst happened when my brother got into drugs.
He spent all our savings to purchase drugs.
Isolated himself from his family members, and spent most of his time with his friends.
Wow, I did high as a day like this.
He got into many drugs from pills to weed, syrup, and he injected himself. He became very violent and got into trouble. He spent days outside without coming home. The drugs began to eat him gradually. It was painful seeing him lose his mind, but it was more painful when we lost him forever.
Stay safe. Don't do drugs. This is NarcoTales.
Good day, viewers. Welcome to NarcoTales, the show where we uncover the raw and real stories of those who have battled substance dependence and found their path to redemption. My name is Netta, your guide on this transformative journey.
Please pay attention. It starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way.
It concerns you. It a kill law, it a kill dreams. It a land people for jail. War against drug abuse.
Welcome to another episode. Now, help me welcome our special guest today, a true warrior in the battle against substance dependence. Please welcome Crosswords. Why Crosswords? Why?
Because I'm a puzzle.
What kind of puzzle?
Only to the women I love.
I should have asked.
You should not ask.
Right? Tell us about yourself.
My name is David Ikani. But I go by the stage name Crosswords. I'm a poet, a filmmaker, and an actor, and also a musical artist. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Please walk us through your story.
My story. I feel like trying to call it a story would be trying to be too rigid about it. For me, I feel like it's an experience beyond. It's not just a story for me. It's a personal experience. And drug addiction is something. It's a demon I'm very, very familiar with because I feel like it's something I have healed from, falling back to, healed from again, and falling back to, and healed.
That's why you're a puzzle.
Yes, exactly.
I think I'm starting to.
You're starting to understand. But anyways, yeah. So I would say I got introduced to substance abuse via something as simple as cigarettes. So that's like the crazy thing here. A lot of times we feel like it has to be weed or pills or crack or something that gets you there. But I feel like the tiniest things could be the gateway to all of these things. So yeah, I started off with cigarettes. I mean, I wasn't influenced by anybody. I feel like I just always, due to the fact that I was always excited by pop culture, and then I listened to a lot of talk music growing up. I just wanted that feel. Okay, so taking drugs like nicotine, taking alcohol and stuff eventually led to worse things. Or because the truth is, I do not like to see the use of drugs as a problem. I see the abuse or the dependence as the problem. You get me? So eventually, I feel like taking these smaller drugs led me to the point
What
where
smaller drug?
yes, like I mentioned, things like cigarettes,
Okay.
alcohol, but eventually morphed into marijuana, roofies, stuff like that. But then I experienced, now this is like I don't know if it's a mundane story, but yeah, I experienced heavy heartbreak
We're now very interested.
Yeah, I experienced heavy heartbreak after I graduated from school, and beyond the heartbreak, I was going through a whole lot as a young person, discovering myself as an artist, growing as a person, and I also had issues with fame because my school where I went to, I had a certain level of fame.
What school?
Kobe State University. I had a certain level of fame that I think affected me in negative ways because it exposed me to every variety of persons. It made me interact with a host of people I shouldn't be interacting with. It made me blend with a lot of people. Not necessarily shouldn't be, but I shouldn't be morphing into who they are, basically. So yeah, I feel like after school, after the heartbreak, after all of these things combined together, I feel like it put me in a really, really, really depressed state. And the crazy thing about depression is you do not realize you're depressed when you are depressed. That's just the crazy thing, especially when you are truly depressed, not sad because you are broke or something, because that's the crazy thing. There was money, money didn't touch my hand to an extent. So that's like the crazy thing. I had access to these things, and it led me down a path I terribly regret. I got into a relationship with a girl that was basically, sorry to say, a junkie to an extent, and that really, really messed me up. Because the thing about drug addiction is when you blend it with emotions, it becomes really, really terrible because it's hard to escape from. Yes, you get entangled, and then it's a whole mess of volatile emotions flying around. So yeah, I got into that relationship, and I think it really, really affected me negatively. I started doing really heavy drugs like crack, meth. Yeah.
Because of her?
Not necessarily because of her, but she was sort of a route. Yeah, because I was already going through these things. I was already doing drugs, but I feel
before
like
you met her?
yes, before I met her. But meeting her led me into doing heavier drugs because it was like she already did these things, and then to an extent it was like I finally found an escape. I finally found someone who understood me. But that's how I felt in some ways. So it really, really messed me up at that point in time. Got me really, really hooked on crack and meth at that point in time. And well, it was a really, really terrible point in my life, especially because of the fact that it was coupled with COVID. That period, yeah, it was coupled with COVID. So we're basically always in hotel rooms at home and stuff like that. So there was boredom that gave room for drug addiction. So it was just a whole lot of things combined together that led to that point. But yeah, mainly depression. Is definitely.
Tell me one experience you had, like a really bad experience you had with.
A really bad experience. You know Colorado. I feel like anybody that's ever done drugs knows what Colorado is. And if you know what Colorado is, I feel like it's one of the most messed up substances to ever be released into the world. And there was this day I had that, and I actually lost a job because of that. Like, yes, I lost a film job because I smoked that before I left the house. And bro, what they call travail. I travailled and it really messed me up. I became really sick for I think over a month. I was really sick. It really messed me up, and I shrank. They had to, because I was doing drugs like codeine. I was doing a lot of drugs, pills, codeine, a lot. So I feel like they had to, at some point, I've forgotten the name they called it, detoxify my body. Yeah, they had to detoxify my body because I became really, really, really sick. And yeah, I think that was even kind of like the recovery point for me after that experience. Like the realization of how close I was to death in a lot of ways at that point in time made me realize, was it truly worth it? I mean, drugs are cool. I won't lie. I have to be honest. Drugs are really cool. The experience is cool. But the truth is, every sweet thing that's taken too much will give you diabetes.
True.
Yeah. So I feel like I had to realize that as cool as it was detrimental to me. So, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say thank God, but
wow,
it's for the best. No, it's for the best.
Facts, true.
Okay, so how was recovery been? What made you, what took you out? What made you snap out of that whole phase?
To be honest, I wouldn't want to lie to anyone watching this that's doing drugs right now. What I mean is, I wouldn't want to lie to you like there's some 5-step plan or some steps that you need to take that will just begin you or something. I feel like anybody that wants true change will change, but they always need a catalyst. And there was a catalyst in my life at that point in time. I had a friend, a guy that was really always there for me, that called me out on my BS, that made sure I had to let go of these things. And then also one thing that helped me during recovery was the fact that I cut off a lot of the guys I used to chill with. I had to intern. Until today, there are people's call I would never pick.
So bad influence.
Yes. It's not necessarily bad influence, because if you call it bad influence, it will look like I don't have choices of my own.
They were promoting.
Yes, exactly. It's like when you're around people who do these things, it's hard to almost not succumb to the pressure. So yeah, I feel like you need to stay. So yeah, for me, that recovery, it's been a hard road. I won't lie. Just like I said, it's not a one day thing. There are times when you fall back again. There are times you rise again. But I think it takes a whole lot of intentionality if you want to recover.
Okay, your family, were they involved? Did they
Heavily
know?
involved. My dad is a pastor. Yes, my dad's a pastor. So when they found out, like my parents actually, I told my parents that I was smoking at that point in time. Like I was like 2019. I came clean with them, and it caused heavy problems in the house. Like my dad almost disowned me.
Of course, thought to is a pastor's son, and then
yes,
how?
It was war. It was outright war. But then I think what really healed my relationship with them was the fact that apart from the recovery, I have been grinding at my art a whole lot. I feel like that's one thing that became an escape for me. Like, I think I focused all of that energy, all of that boredom, all of that depression. I just poured it completely into my art.
So we're going on a short commercial. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was seeing things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Welcome back. I'm sure this has been really exciting. So back to our special guest. You mentioned your art earlier, 2 years. So tell us about that.
Well, I have been into the creative arts for way longer than 2 years. But why I mentioned 2 years is I feel like it's been like the recovery road for me. And that was like the timeline, 2-3 years. I think at about 2021 was the last time I stopped doing crack and stuff like that, towards the ending of 2021. And so since then, I have released an album titled Winter Is Not Forever. It's on Spotify. I just recently directed my first film and actually won an award for it.
Oh, that's really nice.
Proud moment. So yeah, that was like day before yesterday.
Oh, that's really,
really recent.
recent.
Yeah, directed a film for M-Switch and it won an award as the best film in the category that it was nominated for. Yes. And beyond that, I've also featured in a couple of short films, my work, other works, feature films, and made music with a host of, I work with a lot of NGOs like Plan International, Street Project Foundation, just so many of them. I work with NGOs. I mainly work around speaking on climate change, gender-based violence, and sexual abuse. Those are the main areas, the thematic areas I work on mainly. So yeah, this has been like the journey mainly for me. It's been mostly about making as much art as possible, 2, storytelling, 3, expressing myself and speaking up for others, and then lastly, advocacy.
This has been really interesting. I'm sure the viewers would agree. Don't want you to go.
You want me to go?
I mean, no. But like every good thing has to end for now.
Yeah.
So I have one question for you. What advice would you give to someone out there who's struggling?
I feel like one thing I would say is, it sounds like the most cliche advice, of course, but talk to someone. I feel like the root of every drug addiction problem is emotional. If you talk to someone that's worth talking to, you would almost always find a response that could change your life. So please open up to someone, reach out to someone. Yeah, that's it basically.
Thank you very much, David.
You're welcome.
Remember, drug addiction and depression don't blend. Until next time, stay drug-free.
Stay drug-free.
Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. Don't try it though. He go choke you up. He go steal your sunshine up. He go shock you up. He don't kill him any youth from my area. even for your area. When you start it to stop, it no go easy. As you dey drag am go, it dey drag you down. Water come up for my eyes, oh. When I remember all the guys, oh. Way many of them kicking bucket, oh. Some cut to socket, oh. Make we don't forget, oh. No they talk it, oh. Say, don't do drugs. Rock up you see body, oh. Don't do drugs. Don't go wound your busy body. Don't do drugs. If you die, you go sad, oh. Oh yeah, help me tell somebody. Say, rock up you see body, oh. Body, oh. Body, oh.
This message is brought to you by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA.